Good evening, Peter Fury.
Good evening, Ingram.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you, and hope you're okay as well.
Thank you very much. I want to get down to the nitty gritty. David Haye, Tyson Fury. The world wants to know what is going on.
Well, we need to ask Team Haye the exact same question, because I can only tell you what's going on our side. I have no idea what's going on their side.
I mean, there were rumours of a fight happening on September the 28th.
Sure.
When I haven't looked at it from being out of the country and looking in and seeing Mick Hennessy and seeing Adam Booth saying, "Oh, I'll give you a call on Monday. We'll talk about it. Let's exchange numbers." It's like, to me, hold on a second. You guys have known each other for quite a while. It's not the first time Adam Booth would have met Mick Hennessy. You would have known each other a while, saying you're going to talk about it on Monday. Why did you have to go before the camera? To me, it seemed like there was a deal was done. A deal was done. It was all just playing it out a bit. So now I'm hearing a different story that if things are not sorted by Monday, when the other rumor was it was going to get announced on Monday, now I'm hearing the fight's off.
Yeah, as far as we're aware, I think the fight is off. It's a disastrous set of proceedings. It's very unprofessional. What can I say to you? A deal was done. The deal was done. It was very amicable dealing with Adam Booth. He's done everything come over well. And there was no problems at all. Absolutely no problem. 50-50 deal, all agreed. No problem whatsoever. There's been a few strange circumstances why what's took the contract a long time to sign, considering it's a 50-50 deal. We had a few reservations with it, and the full extent of it came through when I said, "Look, enough's enough. Sign this contract on Thursday." I said, because it's gone on long enough. If he wants to fight, sign it, because me and Tyson's of the opinion that David Haye doesn't want to fight for whatever reason. So when I pushed it, then we got a message from Adam Booth that he's no longer in negotiations, and David Haye's told Adam not to speak to Mick Hennessy, which is rather bizarre.
Okay, now I've sort of tracked David Haye and his decision making. I remember once he's back when he was meant to fight Vitali on Setanta. Do you remember that?
Sure, yeah.
And then the Setanta deal fell through and nothing was heard of that. Then he was scheduled to fight, I think, one of the Klitschko's again, maybe. And he pulled out of that and ended up going to fight Valuev. And then he was scheduled to fight Manuel Shah and he damaged his hand. And then I hear rumours that it's because of ticket sales. And before you know it, the rumours that I actually was led to believe, and putting two and two together made 22. So I thought, well, if Haye's pulling out of this fight, it's obvious that Tyson Fury is going to fight David Haye, because the Pulev fight, Fury was not going to take. So I added it all up together to get, hey, Haye's going to fight Fury. It's going to be a big seller. Haye loves money. Fury's going to love the money. Two big British heavyweights. One a former world champion. The other one wanting to be a world champion. Both of them like to talk a load of crap. And so basically, you've got a big, an explosive fight made there. Haye, Fury just got dropped by Cunningham, which makes Fury look more vulnerable. And people think, oh yeah, Haye will just do a number on him. Say, oh, bills to be a great fight. And then we hear this.
Well, you listen, it's a good fight, It would have been a fight we wanted. It was good. It was good for the British boxing public. It's a 50-50 fight. On paper it is anyway. Not what we believe, but people see that, and we respect it. And that's another reason we wanted to fight, to show the British public who is number one. That's what Tyson wanted to do. And this fight was all happening. And on the 12th hour, they basically, pulled out. So they changed the deal from 50-50, and now they want more money.
So what's the sticking point? What changed?
There's no sticking point. You've agreed a deal of 50-50. You've asked for 70-30. You've asked for 70-40. and within a week, some 6 weeks ago, you've agreed to 50-50. So, there is no sticking point whatsoever. The negotiations has been going absolutely perfect, no problems whatsoever. And then on the 12th hour, there's this. So we don't know the ulterior motive, what's behind this. And soon, it'll all come clear as time reveals everything.
Do you think David Haye's got another opponent lined up?
Well, it's quite possibly. They could have deliberately stalled Tyson's progress for whatever reason. But if that's the case, I can assure you, all hell will break loose, because they're not dealing with a weak team here. They're not dealing with a team that's not streetwise. We don't know all the games and the snidey things that can be done. I sincerely hope that that's not the case, and I sincerely hope it's a stalling tactic through nothing more than greed, by wanting a bigger share of the pie. 5 or 6 million's not enough. He probably wants 7.5. So if it's like this, then it's not going to happen. It needs to be fair. It's a 50-50's agreed. It doesn't matter. Once you've agreed something with me and Mick Hennessy, you can't go back and then change it once you've agreed it. So you need to get a grip. But the way it looks to me at the minute,
yes,
it's trying to pull excuses to pull out the fight.
Yeah, but,
and what the reasons for that is, only they know. We don't.
But he's done it to Klitschko. He's done it to Char. So he could do it to Fury as well, right?
Of course he can. Anybody can do it. If you want to be a snide, that's what you can do. But we're honourable people. I wouldn't do that. There's no way I'm going to shake your hand. We're going to do a deal, get 6 weeks into it, and put hundreds of man hours into it, and then be hard-faced and say, I've changed my mind. I want 60-40 because I don't really think you're worth 50% anyway. Come on.
Okay, but here's a few things here. I remember. Do you remember I did the second interview I did with Tyson? I spoke to Tyson, asked him about a potential fight with David Haye. He said, well, David's doing what he's doing, and good luck to him. But basically, he's finished. He's washed up. Now, David Haye, what he brings to the table is a former world champion, a heavyweight world champion, a former unified cruiserweight champion of the world. That's what he brings to the table. So he could say, well, I want the lion's share. What would be your argument to that?
Why did he not say it 6 weeks ago? Why agree to the 50-50 if that's the way you want to be?
So would you have agreed to that had he said 60-40 to you guys?
No.
And why wouldn't you have agreed to 60-40? Because fans would want to know.
Because he's not worth 60-40. He's a cruiserweight. He's an ex-world champion. He lost a landslide to Vladimir Klitschko. He won a cruiserweight title off Mormek, who went nowhere as a heavyweight. He's fought Valuev, who wasn't a good heavyweight, a stiff clump or something, and got the WBA title. So, in my opinion, Haye's won the world title because he's a good businessman. He's made a clever move. But is he a real world champion? Is he worth 60-40? And Tyson's an upcoming heavyweight, 6'9", number 2 in the world, earned his position up there, ready to fight, got a high ranking. Is he worth 60-40? Not at all.
Okay, so if Vladimir Klitschko said 60-40, would that be reasonable?
No, look, we can go around the houses, and let's not go around the houses here.
Yeah.
He asked originally for 70-30, yes?
Yes.
That was turned down. 2 days later, he come back and said, okay, 60-40.
Right.
That was turned down. And then he said, okay, we'll take the fight. 50-50 across the board with everything. That's agreed. So there's no point going back, would I take this, would I take that? It's not the 50-50's never been an issue. So it's an issue on the 12th hour when you're going to sign on a dotted line. So something's clearly wrong, and it's not the percentages, is it?
Okay, so
not unless they're probably thinking, let's get them to the wire, agreement, make it look like the fight's not happening to try and get an extra 10%. If that's happening, good luck to them. But it isn't going to happen because once you do a deal with us, you should honour it.
So where does Eddie Hearn fit into all of this? Because I know he's promoting it. David Haye.
It's like I said, Eddie Hearn's a good promoter. I think he's doing brilliant for British boxing. And he's no part of these. He's been no part of these negotiations with us. I've already stated this before.
Right.
So anything that's being levelled here is not levelled against Eddie Hearn in any capacity or his father, because he's a nice guy. We respect Eddie Hearn, and he's doing a fantastic job. So this has got nothing to do with Eddie Hearn. Our business dealings is with me, Mick Hennessy, Adam Booth, and David Haye. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's got nothing to do with Booth's camp, Groves, or anyone else. It's just a deal what need to be honoured. And when you've agreed something, stand on to it. What is the problem?
So
They stand to make a hell of a lot of money. You know, it puts David Haye, if he beats Tyson, right in world title contention. So it's a fight that he needs. It's viable for us. So why the hell is it not happening?
okay, so what about TV deals? Is this a sticking problem as well?
I can tell you, there is no sticking problem. No TVs, no events, nothing. There is no problem whatsoever. The problem is on their side.
So David Haye just come in and sign the contract and done. The fight is done.
We're done. And I've already left my message with Mick. If it's not done Monday, then the public need to know the true facts of what's going on. And and what I'm more upset about is not the money side, because Tyson's going to make money anyway. And Tyson's not destitute. We're not a poor family. We're not clinging on to a few dollars. We're not in this for the money. It's a world title first, and the money comes later to us. That's the way we look at it. And the only thing I can say, I'm very, very disappointed if this fight doesn't happen, because we've got somebody like Haye's camp who's deliberately put a spanner in the works of Tyson's progress. He was number 2 by the IBF. Now he's gone to number 11. He's lost his mandatory slot because the deal was done with David Haye. So for them to renege on the 12th hour, totally inappropriate and scandalous to do that to any heavyweight boxer. You're affecting people's careers going forward, affecting people's rankings. You can't do this without being any repercussions. And he's got, if he doesn't go ahead with the fight and he doesn't agree and honour his deal, then he's got a lot of explaining to do. And he wants to be careful explaining and telling lies when he's explaining, because if that's the case, he'll find himself in court with a severe court action, because we've got all the evidence here of what's gone on. And we'll deal with it how we're going to deal with it. That's up to Mick Hennessy. It's up to our lawyers how they see fit. But take away all the legal rubbish.
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, why do you get into fights and agree to fights when you deliberately no intention of taking the fight in the first place? So if this fight doesn't happen, then there's been a motive behind their methods. And we're not behind the door, so we wait to see what their motives really are.
Is this a promotional thing, you think, from David Haye's side of things?
I don't really see why. David Haye's quite a celebrity. He's done well in the jungle. People know him outside of boxing. He's done very well for himself, and good luck to the fella. He's not going to criticise his boxing. I'm just giving my honest opinion. He's done well. He's got a very good chance of beating Tyson. Tyson's got a very good chance of beating him. David Haye can punch. So it's a very interesting fight for the public. And we've done everything in our power to make this fight. But this is where we are. So I can't really tell you and give assumptions to what's going on in their camp.
Okay, all right. So what about, there's other rumours about Fresequendo. Is that a fighter that you would take on if this Fury fight, this Haye fight doesn't happen?
Well, Fresequendo is just Tyson taking the piss. He gets abuse on the Twitter and he gives it back. He doesn't give a toss what people think and what they say, and he'll just feed them back with a lot of rubbish and and rile them up.
Right.
The bottom line is that there is no Fresequendo. There's never been no 80-20. Because I told Tyson don't discuss the figures. So Tyson's only doing what his team's told him to do, including Mick Hennessy. That don't discuss the figures. But the figures now need to become in the open. This deal needs to be coming in the open because of what is going on.
I wanted to make.
That's where we are.
I want to make another little point here. Brian Jennings, I did an interview recently, said he was offered 25 grand to face Pulev.
Yeah.
For him to go to Germany, basically. That's what he would get by flying from America to Germany to fight Pulev. Did you, at any point in time, did you guys negotiate with Pulev and his team?
No, it was to go to purse bids, and to be honest with you, nobody wanted the fight anyway. You know, it's not a sellable fight. Whether he's a Bulgarian based out of Germany or whatever, but he doesn't sell. And, you know, I don't think German TV even want him. So it's a difficult one to sell. You know, he's a good fighter, Pulev, but he's not financially viable at all. Only for the IBF ranking, really. So it's a sacrificial fight with no money gained.
So is Pulev like part of the Who Needs Him club?
Yeah, not because of his talent. It's because of who needs him. Because it's not a pay fight.
Okay.
There's peanuts to offer. And you know, Jennings is absolutely right. 25 grand to go all the way to Germany. You know, why has he got to do that? You know, Jennings is a very good heavyweight.
Yes.
You know, so what does he want 25 grand for to go all the way to Germany? He could get robbed with the judges as well.
Well, there you go. There you go.
So you know, he's got a good team behind him. You know, that kid's doing well. I like Jennings anyway. I think he's got talent. And he's getting better as well.
Absolutely. I want to touch on, and I don't want to make a big thing out of it, Malik Scott. I know what you said because you've made it quite clear in the 2 interviews we did. Tyson now seems to, on his Twitter page, seems to have turned around and said he now believes that Malik Scott will outbox Derek Chisora. But before, something else was said, which obviously made Malik unhappy.
Look, it can be what it wants, and how it's going to sound, you know. And you know, Tyson gets frustrated, with many things. So Malik Scott come over. He had a couple of spars. He done 4 rounds steady, and then he went up the pace. And Tyson hit Malik Scott with 2 severe hooks on the when his back was against the ropes. He caught Malik with 2 flush heavy shots, and there was no problem. Malik continued to the end of the round, but he kept walking around and he was holding the ring and shaking his head. And I said to him, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah." He said, and he just keeps shaking his head. So the round went again, and as the round's going on, he's still shaking his head. You know, he clearly is hearing things in his ears. So you know, he made it to the end of the round, and he said something's the matter. But something clearly was a matter. Anyway, he busted both eardrums. So he couldn't spar. But, you know, nothing disregarding for that, you know. Yeah. It happened, you know. It can happen in boxing. You've got a 6'9" man at 18 stone hitting you full weight. You know, and it's only pressure against the eardrum and it'll bust.
Yes.
So he hit him with 2 shots, which was accurate, that compressed the pressure in his ears. And his ears busted. So no, he couldn't spar because it was very uncomfortable for him, and that's what happened.
But that was the truth. You said before.
Yeah, I think Tyson was basically upset at the fact that you know, we needed him for the Kevin Johnson fight. He's come over. Tyson paid his ticket, his full fare, his fee. And Tyson probably feels that you know Malik Scott. You know, why was he paid for the full spar? You know, when he only done basically 1.5 sessions. So
yes.
I don't think he's begrudging him the money. He's just thinking to himself, well, you know, I was almost robbed here. I paid a fortune for sparring. You know, he's got injured and I've had to pay the full money. So maybe it's something like that. But what I can tell you is, I rate Malik Scott. I rate him as a boxer. I thought he got absolutely robbed against that Russian. Laskov. Robbed blind. He won that by a streak.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's a God-fearing man, Malik Scott. So
yeah.
You know, I've had to with Tyson, and Tyson said, "Yeah, you know, I shouldn't have said that, should I?" You know, so I said, "Well, you do say some things which shouldn't be said at the time." So he's just a bit of a young fella, Tyson. He gets frustrated, and he says things which sometimes, you know, is not really correct on the day. But listen, I can't make any excuses. Tyson's his own man.
Of course.
You know, Tyson's got nothing against Malik Scott. Malik Scott can fight, and you know, he's not. He's definitely not weak-hearted. You know, he had a genuine injury and he couldn't continue.
And this fight with him and Chisora in a small ring?
You know, Chisora's also, he's a quality fighter, but you don't know who's going to turn up, do you, with Chisora?
Yeah.
You know, Chisora seems to lose fights in the dressing room. That's me looking at that on the outside. He seems to not turn up. He seems to get mentally defeated before he gets in there. It depends which Chisora is going to turn up on the day. If the Chisora turns up against the Lenius and Vitaly Klitschko, we're in for a showdown, and it's a 50-50 fight.
Right.
Because Chisora can take a shot. You know, he throws a lot of punches, and it's up to Malik Scott to keep him off balance and box him and catch him on the way in.
Right.
So it's a 50-50 fight. It's not a fight that's going to be over in a few rounds. You know, it's going to be a tough fight.
Okay.
Malik Scott got the capability, yes. As Chisora got the capability, working on volume and shots, yes, he has. So it's an even money fight. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
And of course, before I end, I've got to mention that other heavyweight from Liverpool, David Price, in his rematch against Tony Thompson. What do you think?
Well, look, I sincerely hope that David Price does it this time. Thompson's a very awkward customer. You know, he's got the ring craft, and he is very awkward. Don't forget, he took Vladimir 11 rounds the first time. Vladimir stated, if there's a worst person in the world I want to fight, it's Tony Thompson. I'm only taking him because he's mandatory and I've got no option. And you know, even in the second fight, Vladimir had to come out of his normal stance and put sheer pressure on Tony Thompson to break him down.
Right.
Tony Thompson's a lot better boxer than people give him credit. He's awkward. So, you know, I think David Price, you know, I think he's had a long think about it. He's got to keep him long. He's got to work his jab, which he never used at all. He was pouring with it, you know, in the first fight. Well, how can you have a good defense and pour with a jab? You've seen what happens to Tyson when he neglects that jab and puts it down.
Yes.
You're a tall fighter, pick your bloody hands up, yeah, and use your jab and use your feet and your movement, yeah. And then I think he can wear Thompson down. Look, safety first. You know, Thompson's going to look to repeat the thing. You know, he's got to get that chin tucked down. He's got to put the jab up so the shoulder comes up above the temple. You know, and he's got to throw straight shots, and he's got to keep Tony Thompson long. You know, it might turn out to be a bit of a boring fight, but I see David Price catching up with Thompson in the later rounds. I think if he gets past 4 or 5 rounds, it's, you know, every time the rounds go on, it's steeping in David Price's favour. Right. You know, I hope David Price can do it. I've got nothing against Thompson, but he's 40 whatever. He's on the edge of his career. Yeah. And David Price has got a good career ahead of him, so I hope he does it. He's good for boxing, good for heavyweight boxing, and people do get chinned. You know, it can happen. This is a heavyweight game. It's not about how good your chin is. It's about making a silly mistake. And that's it. So he needs to keep to his boxing, David Price, and don't have a slugfest with him, you know, and just use his boxing skill, which I'm sure he will. And basically, he'll have picked up a lot of things. He's been over there with Lennox Lewis, taking advice. You know, he'll have looked at the video. You know, and he made a hell of a lot of mistakes. And I always said, I'm not going back on anything I said, he's very amateurish. In his previous performances, you could see the openings was there. He was relying on the big hit, the big right, and he was sacrificing just to get that big right over. You're on borrowed time when you're like that. But I think this fight, he'll have learnt from it, and this is what it's about. You know, look, there was overhyping him too much. He'd had 15, 16 fights, talking about Klitschko, talking about this. It's just too soon. You know, you can't pit somebody like that against world-class contenders who's mixed at all levels. And it just goes to show you, even at the world level, what an out of shape Tony Thompson can do coming over for a payday. Yep. You know, so don't take this is boxing. It's a sweet science. To mixing at world level, you need experience, and this is why I'm happy with Tyson's fights, and I'm happy with Tyson getting the rounds in, having 50-50 fights, digging to the well, because he's learning. So he knows he's got a lot of experience, Tyson, because he's been at the deep end. Don't forget, Tyson fought, and in prime, John McDermott on his 6th and 7th fight. Yeah. And McDermott was already robbed for the British Championship against Danny Williams. He was like 33-2. He'd only lost to Danny Williams at the time. People don't give Tyson the credit he's due. But that's regardless, that's public opinion. Yes. But the thing is, I'm happy with everything. I wish David Price all the best, obviously. And I hope Malik Scott has not took anything too personal, because I've got nothing against the fellow. He's a very nice fellow when I met him. And That's it, really. So there's not much I can say more, Ingram, to what's going on.
Peter Fury, as always, thank you so much for talking to Bayloric TV, and we shall wait and see what happens tomorrow with David Haye and yourselves.
Yeah, well, one way or the other, we need closure, and
Absolutely. It will be a great shame.
Whatever happens, we're just going to move on.
Yes. Thank you so much, Peter Fury.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.